What if I told you that BTS never really went on a hiatus? Yeah, you heard that right. Because while the world was counting the days until BTS returned, one man was quietly, consistently, relentlessly working, writing songs, crafting albums, pouring his soul into music. And when the Ararang tracklist dropped on March 3rd, 2026, the internet absolutely lost its mind. Because there was RM, Kim Namjoon, BTS's leader, with songwriting credits on not just one track, not 5, but 13 out of 14 songs on the most anticipated K-pop album in years. So today, we're diving deep. We're going to talk about what RM has been building during this entire so-called hiatus, why his creative output during this period is nothing short of extraordinary, what his role in Ararang tells us about BTS's future, and why the evidence is crystal clear: BTS never stopped. They were just getting stronger. Army, buckle up. This is going to be one wild ride. Let's get into it. Purple Heart. Section 1. The hiatus that wasn't really a hiatus. Let's rewind to June 2022. BTS drops a bombshell at their Festa dinner. They're going on a hiatus to focus on individual projects and, eventually, mandatory military service. The news sent HYBE's stock tumbling 25% and broke the hearts of millions of armies worldwide. But here's what the headlines missed. The members never actually stopped working. From 2022 to 2025, while the world called it a break, BTS delivered more music, more tours, more content, and more art than most groups put out in a decade of active careers. Fans on social media summed it up perfectly. Quote, "They changed the meaning of hiatus." One fan on X wrote, "I'm spending more money and time on BTS during the military hiatus than when they were active as a group." Think about what happened during those years. J-Hope dropped Jack in the Box in July 2022, then On the Street with J. Cole, then his special album Hope on the Street Volume 1, and went on to headline Lollapalooza Berlin. Suga released his iconic D-Day album as August D and embarked on a full solo world tour. Jimin delivered Face, and then Muse. V gave us Layover. Jungkook released Golden. Jin, after completing his military service first, dropped Happy and Echo and launched his solo world tour Run Seekjin EP. Tour across Asia, North America, and Europe. And through it all, one thread connected every single solo project back to the mothership, RM. Because while his bandmates were building their solo identities, RM wasn't just doing the same. He was simultaneously laying the foundation for what would become BTS's most ambitious group album yet. Section 2. RM's Solo Journey. The Blueprint for Ararang. Let's talk about what RM actually built during this period, because it is genuinely staggering. In December 2022, right as the hiatus began, RM launched Indigo, his debut solo album. It was a deeply introspective, genre-defying record that featured collaborations with artists like Erykah Badu, Mahalia, and Anderson .Paak. Critics praised it for its emotional depth and artistic courage. This wasn't the typical K-pop solo debut. This was a statement. Kim Namjoon is a world-class artist on his own terms. But he didn't stop there. He didn't rest on Indigo's critical success. Instead, he traveled to Spain, searching for new inspiration, feeling, in his own words, unfulfilled even after everything Indigo achieved. He was hungry for something more honest, something rawer, something that told the truth about who he was. That search became Right Place, Wrong Person, released in May 2024, while RM was still fulfilling his military obligations. He wrote lyrics for all 11 songs on the album himself. Every single one. Features from artists like Little Sims, Domi and JD Beck, and Moses Sumney showed the world that RM wasn't just collaborating with global talent, he was being sought out by them. The album peaked on the Billboard Global 200, with singles Come Back to Me and Lost, breaking through to international audiences. But more importantly, it showed something critical. RM's pen never stopped moving. Even in military service, even away from the studio, his creative mind was building, organizing, writing. Because he knew something the rest of the world didn't quite grasp yet. He knew that everything he was learning, every emotion he was processing, every artistic risk he was taking, it was all going straight into BTS's next chapter. As RM himself said in an interview around this time, all the solo work is just a journey, but it is a very important journey. It's a journey to get back home safe, eventually, when we reunite together. Section 3. The moment ARMY knew, the 2025 Weverse livestream. Okay, fast forward to July 2025, the moment that shook the K-pop world. All 7 members of BTS, RM, Jin, Suga, Jhope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook, appeared together on a Weverse livestream for the first time since September 2022. Over 7.3 million fans watched in real time. It was, quite simply, a historic moment. And the announcements they made? They were everything ARMY had been waiting for. RM spoke clearly and directly. We'll be releasing a new BTS album in the spring of next year. Starting in July, all 7 of us will begin working closely together on new music. Since it will be a group album, it will reflect each member's thoughts and ideas. We're approaching it with the mindset of going back to our roots. He then added, we're planning a world tour to go along with the new album. But it was what RM said about the project scale that truly grabbed everyone's attention. He didn't call it just a comeback. He called it, quote, a real big thing. And Jhope, right beside him, added that 2026 would be crucial to the group's future. These weren't just hype words. This was BTS making a promise. The members then reportedly followed Jin on his solo world tour across different locations to begin production on the new album. Still together, still working, still in motion. Then in November 2025, RM posted on X. Above all, the music is really coming out great. Everyone is working hard. Look forward to it. 2026 Bulletproof ARMY fighting. ARMY went absolutely feral. And on the same day, November 1st, 2025, Jimin dropped the news that stopped the internet. Guys, we just finished recording. The album was complete. BTS was ready. Section 4. March 20th, 2026, Arirang arrives. On January 1st, 2026, Big Hit Music posted a single message on their Korean language X account. No elaborate announcement. No countdown. Just 4 words that sent shockwaves around the planet. March 20th comeback confirmed. ARMY did not sleep for days. Then, on March 3rd, the full track list for Arirang dropped. A 14-song album, BTS's 5th full studio album, and their first full group album in 6 years. And every single detail about it was designed to shock. The album's name itself is a masterstroke. Arirang is a centuries-old traditional Korean folk song, inscribed on UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage list. The song has long been associated with emotions of connection, distance, and reunion, themes that perfectly mirror what BTS has been living through. As their label stated, transcending time and generations, the song has long been associated with emotions of connection, distance, and reunion. The lead single, Swim, track 7 on the album, set apart on the tracklist in black against red strips. A title that speaks to movement, to staying afloat, to pushing forward no matter what the current brings. The producer lineup reads like a who's who of global music royalty. Diplo, Kevin Parker of Tame Impala, Mike Wilmaded, Ryan Tedder, Flume, El Guincho, and Shpeg Mafia, alongside BTS's longtime collaborator Doc. Diplo himself, speaking at a Fanatics Super Bowl party in February, told TMZ the album was going to, quote, shock the world. He called working with BTS the craziest album ever. Suga, in a GQ cover story, described the album as having a diversity of genres and offering a more mature side of BTS. He promised it would be quite different from the BTS albums and sounds that you've been listening to. And RM? He called it simply the whole package. He wasn't wrong. Arirang went on to sell 641,000 copies in the US alone in its first week and top Apple Music charts in 115 countries. It was, by every measure, a triumph. Section 5. The stat that broke ARMY's brain. RM on 13 of 14 tracks. Now here's where things get absolutely wild. And this is the part of the story that proves, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that RM never stopped. Not for a single day. When the full songwriting credits for Arirang dropped alongside the tracklist, fans immediately started scanning the sheet. And what they found sent the BTS community into a complete frenzy. RM has songwriting and composing credits on 13 out of 14 tracks on Arirang. The only track he didn't write? An interlude titled number 29. Every single other track, from Body to Body, The opener featuring Diplo and Ryan Tedder, to the closing anthem Into the Sun, where RM shares credits alongside V, Jimin, Suga, and Jhope. RM's fingerprints are everywhere on this album. He's on the title track Swim. He's on the hip-hop heavy hitters like Hooligan and FY. He's on the genre-bending Merry Go Round, co-produced with Tame Impala's Kevin Parker. He's on the introspective They Don't Know About Us. He's everywhere. To put this in perspective, Suga, BTS's second most prolific songwriter, has credits on 11 tracks. Jhope is credited on 10. Jungkook appears on 4. V and Jimin each contribute to 2. Jimin, who was focused on his solo tour during production, isn't credited on any. Fans reacted exactly how you'd expect. Social media was flooded. One post that went viral read, "Father of K-pop, our talented leader." Another, "RM didn't just survive the hiatus. He turned it into a 14-track masterpiece for the whole group." But what makes this truly extraordinary isn't just the number of credits. It's what those credits represent. During military service, during solo album campaigns, during countless personal challenges, including what RM himself described as hitting rock bottom psychologically during his service, he was still writing, still creating, still thinking about BTS. This is the proof. This is what never going on hiatus looks like. Section 6. What the solo era poured into Erarang. Visual montage of all 7 members' solo album covers and tour footage. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough, and it's the secret ingredient behind why Erarang sounds so different from anything BTS has done before. Every single member brought their solo era directly into the group album. Look at the producer credits for Erarang. The teams behind Right Place, Wrong Person appear on multiple tracks. The Echo collaborators are involved. Creators behind D-Day and Jack in the Box contribute. The producers from Muse, Layover, and Golden all have a seat at the table. This wasn't accidental. This was intentional. RM had a mandate for Erarang. Take everything the members discovered about themselves as individuals and weave it into one unified, explosive group statement. Jhope said it best on the Zach Sang show when discussing how the solo era would affect the group's work. In order to make music as a team in a healthy way, as each of us are making their own music, we each go through personal growth and growing pains that come with it. We learn many things, and then when we reunite, these experiences fill us with new strength and energy. Everyone has grown while pursuing their solo projects. I think that will contribute to the music we create as BTS. And that growth, you can hear it in every track of Erarang. The album's first half leans hard into hip-hop. That's RM, Suga, Jhope, fully unleashed after years of sharpening their solo identities. Then it pivots into Jersey club, rock, grunge, sounds that no previous BTS album would have dared to attempt at this scale. It's the most experimental BTS has ever been. And it's because each member came back to the group not as the same person who left, but as a fuller, richer, more confident artist. ARMY wasn't just getting BTS back. They were getting a supercharged, evolved, fully formed version of BTS that had been quietly building for 4 years. Section 7. RM's message. What he's been telling us all along. Visual. Compilation of RM's Weverse posts, livestream clips, and interview excerpts. Looking back, RM has been leaving breadcrumbs for ARMY this entire time. The signs were always there. Remember what he said back when the hiatus was fresh, when fans were scared and uncertain. He told ARMYs directly, BTS will be back for sure. He compared the solo era to, quote, a vacation to get back to where I was, which was BTS and ARMY. Not a permanent departure, a journey, a circle that always had a destination. Then there was the emotional moment during the July 2025 Weverse livestream, when RM quietly raised concerns about wanting more care and support from their agency. A rare, vulnerable moment from a man who usually carries everything in silence. It was a reminder that even the strongest leader has doubts, has struggles, but he was still there, still committed, still fighting for BTS. And in August 2025, before the album was even finished, RM posted this about the upcoming record, making something together with these friends. I'm going to commit myself to this moment. It's our next album. I'm looking for what I'll become. Something I've forgotten for too long. The moments that are far away together. I hope that it will be a kind of beauty. That quote hits differently now, doesn't it? Because that's exactly what Arirang became. A kind of beauty. A reunion of 7 people who grew individually so they could become something greater together. RM understood something fundamental about what BTS means, not just to ARMY, but to each other. And he never let go of that understanding, not for a single moment of the last 4 years. Suga, in their Rolling Stone reunion interview, put it the most simply: "We all went solo because we couldn't work as a group at the time. But I knew we were always going to get back together. Staying together just felt obvious." Section 8. Arirang's World Tour. The proof is in the crowds. Visual. Arirang World Tour announcement graphic, concert venue footage. And if the album wasn't enough proof that BTS never went anywhere, the Arirang World Tour seals the deal. 82 shows, 34 regions. Kicking off on April 9th in Goyang, South Korea, BTS is taking the largest tour of their career on the road. This isn't a victory lap. This is a declaration of intent. The Netflix comeback concert special, BTS The Comeback Live Arirang, dropped on March 5th and gave armies around the world a front-row seat to what can only be described as a triumphant return. 7 men on stage, more powerful than ever, performing music that felt both familiar and brand new. The world tour was always part of the plan. Even back in July 2025, when BTS made their initial comeback announcement, they were clear: the album and the tour were one unified vision. "We'll be visiting fans all around the world," RM said. And he meant it. 82 shows, ARMY. Let that sink in. This is not a band that went on hiatus. This is a band that was building up to the biggest moment of their career. OUTRO, BTS never left. They were always coming back stronger. So let's bring this full circle. When BTS announced their hiatus in 2022, the world panicked. Stock prices dropped. Fans cried. Pundits questioned whether this was the beginning of the end. And while all of that noise was happening, RM was writing. He was writing Indigo. He was traveling to Spain and coming back with Right Place, Wrong Person. He was in military service, finding the words that would eventually anchor 13 songs on Arirang. He was posting quiet updates on Weverse. The music is really coming out great. Everyone is working hard, like a captain steadily navigating a ship that everyone else thought was lost at sea. The hiatus was real in the sense that BTS didn't perform together. But it was never real in the sense that BTS stopped existing, stopped creating, stopped being BTS. If anything, RM's fingerprints all over Arirang prove something profound. The group's leader used every single moment of separation to prepare for the most important reunion of their careers. He turned individual growth into collective power. He turned absence into anticipation. He turned a hiatus into a masterpiece. Arirang isn't just a comeback album. It's the answer to every prayer ARMY sent out over 4 years of waiting. It's proof that when RM says, "Bulletproof ARMY fighting," he means every single syllable. And the journey is just getting started. If this video gave you all the BTS feelings, smash that like button, because it genuinely helps this channel more than you know. Drop a comment below. Which Arirang track are you obsessed with right now? Are you going to any shows on the world tour? I want to know everything. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a BTS deep dive, because with RM running the creative ship, there is so much more to talk about. Until next time, ARMY, 보라해, purple you forever, Purple Heart.